Some EcoBoost engines don't make it to 100,000 miles, and the owners who lose them usually did nothing wrong. I've got one sitting in my shop right now. 87,000 miles. Receipts for every oil change since day one, sitting right there in a folder on the seat. The engine's dead. Not needs work, dead. So before you keep watching, ask yourself something. If doing everything right wasn't enough to save his truck, what makes you think it's enough to save yours? Stick around, because some of what I'm about to tell you is going to make you mad. Mad at the people who should have warned you and never did. Good, get mad. Mad is what gets people to actually do something before it costs them 10 grand. The truck that started all this, his name's Tom. Bought the F-150 brand new, EcoBoost, loaded up. The truck he was proud to park in his driveway. For the first 60-something thousand miles, nothing. Truck ran like a dream. Tom used to joke with me at every visit, same line every time. This thing's gonna outlive me. At 71,000 miles, he heard a knock. Quiet, easy to ignore. The kind of sound you tell yourself you imagined. He told me later he actually turned the radio up the first couple days, just to drown it out. Figured it was a rock in the wheel well or a loose heat shield. Something cheap. It wasn't. He brought it in, and I knew before I even popped the hood. I've heard that exact knock too many times now. We got it on the lift, pulled the pan, spun rod bearing, game over. Metal shavings in the oil, the kind of thing where you don't even need a second opinion. Tom sat in my waiting room and didn't say a word for almost 20 minutes. Just stared at the floor, turning his keys over in his hand. Then he looked up at me and said the same thing 4 times in a row, like he was trying to argue his way out of it. I did everything right. I followed the manual. I didn't have a good answer for him. That's the part that still bothers me. I just stood there. Here's the part nobody in this business wants to say out loud because it sounds like we're throwing the manufacturer under the bus. Let that sit for a second. It's going to make a lot more sense in a minute, and you're not going to like where it leads. What's coming? 5 reasons these engines die young, not internet rumors. What I actually see, week after week, on real trucks owned by real people. And I'll tell you right now, none of the first 4 are the one that scares me most. There's one on this list that's different from the rest. No warning light, no noise, no smell. It just happens. We'll get there. Reason 1, following Ford's own oil change intervals. Most owners think the manual is their safety net. It's not for this engine. Ford says 7,500 to 10,000 miles between changes. That number isn't a lie. That oil breaks down faster than your dashboard can ever tell you. Trusted his oil life monitor completely. Sometimes stretched it to 9,000 miles because the dash said it was fine. Just to look. Habit mostly. Sludge. Already building. Dark, tacky buildup creeping along the cam. The kind that doesn't show up on a dipstick check. He stared into that valve cover for a long time. Then he said it. But the truck never told me anything was wrong. That's the whole problem in one sentence. Catch it early, like he did. And it's a flush and a couple of closer oil changes. Miss it, and you're writing the same check Tom's family is writing right now. Forget the dashboard. 5,000 miles, full synthetic. Towing regularly, drop it to 3,000. Something you probably did this morning without thinking twice. Reason 2, fuel dilution from short trips. Short trips feel gentle. People think easy driving means easy wear. It might be the worst thing you can do to this engine. Every short drive dumps a little unburned fuel into your oil. That's normal. What's supposed to fix it is a long, hot highway run that burns that fuel back out. A mom brought her truck in, used it strictly for school drop-off. 15 minutes a day, maybe 20, never touched the highway. We changed her oil. It came out thin, almost watery. She said, "I baby this truck. I never even take it on the highway." She thought she was protecting it. She was starving it. Let the engine get hot and stay hot. This next one hides even better, and it doesn't show up as a knock. It shows up later in your wallet when you're least expecting it. Reason 3, carbon buildup from direct injection. Older engines used to wash their intake valves clean with fuel every drive. Direct injection skips that step entirely. Fuel goes straight into the cylinder. You will never see this one coming. A guy came in around 58,000 miles and said the truck just felt tired. Not broken, not rough, not really, just tired. We ran a camera into the intake. Black, crusty, coating nearly every valve. Almost like the inside of a chimney that hadn't been cleaned in years. He went quiet for a second, then leaned in closer to the screen like he didn't believe it. "That's inside my engine? Right now?" "Yes, right now, sitting there." He said, "Nobody ever told me I needed to do anything about this." He was right. Nobody had. Not the dealership, not the manual, not a single dashboard light. Caught there. Cleaning costs $400 to $800. Left alone, misfires, rough running, check engine light. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. A fuel system cleaner made for direct injection every 5 to 10,000 miles. 30 seconds at the pump. That's genuinely it. Before we go to reason 4, answer something honestly. The question: how often do you actually pull your dipstick between oil changes? Not the dash light, the actual dipstick, in your actual hand. Drop your honest answer below. I read all of them. And if your honest answer was never, keep watching. Because the next one is built specifically for people who just said that. Reason 4, ignoring oil consumption between changes. No puddle in the driveway doesn't mean no problem. Almost nobody checks for it because nothing tells you to. A family I worked with towed a camper most summer weekends. Oil changes always on time, never missed one. Never once checked the dipstick in between. He kept driving 40 more miles because the truck still felt fine. Gone. Nothing leaking onto the driveway. Nothing showing up anywhere. The exact same beginning as Tom's. He said, "How did I not know this was happening? I changed it on time every single time. Catch it early, $20 for a quart of oil. Miss it, thousands in bearing repair. Cheapest insurance you'll ever buy for this truck." And now we're finally here. The one I've been hinting at this whole video. Reason 5, the PCV valve fails without warning. This one part has caused more total engine losses than everything else on this list, combined. More than the oil intervals, more than the short trips, more than the carbon, more than missed oil checks. Here's why it's different from everything else I've told you. Reason 1 gives you sludge you can see. Reason 2 gives you watery oil you can smell. This one gives you nothing, until it gives you everything all at once. Sometimes the pressure forces oil out through seals that were never built to handle that kind of stress. Revving on its own, no foot anywhere near the pedal. The engine deciding completely by itself how fast it wants to go. A long-time customer called me, and his voice was shaking on the phone. I almost didn't recognize him at first. His truck was screaming in his own driveway. Engine revving wildly, all by itself, climbing higher and higher with nobody touching anything. He told me his hands were shaking so badly he almost couldn't get the key to turn. No check engine light, no warning the week before. No knock, no smell, no rough idle, nothing. Nothing. Until everything, all at once, in his own driveway with his family watching. I would have asked someone to check it. That sentence is exactly why I'm making this video. Caught early, $200 to $500 to replace. A part smaller than your fist. Caught late, a brand new engine. The same $9,000 nightmare Tom is living right now. Ask specifically. Most quick lubes won't check it unless you say the words out loud. Don't wait for a warning light. There usually isn't one coming. By the time there's a light, it's usually too late to matter. Back to the lift. I think about Tom's truck more than I probably should. It's still sitting in that same spot in my lot, waiting on parts. All that proof that he did everything anyone ever told him to do. Stacked neat in order, like evidence for a case he was never going to win. That's the part of this job that never gets easier. Watching a guy who did nothing wrong stand in my waiting room and try to make sense of a $9,000 bill. When the truth is he never made one. Tom wasn't careless. He wasn't skipping oil changes. He wasn't ignoring the manual. He just didn't know what nobody had ever bothered to explain to him. And that's the part that bothers me most after all these years. Because nobody ever sat them down and told them the truth. You just got it, for free. Change your oil on your own schedule, not the dashboards. Drive it hard on the highway once a week so it can breathe. Run a fuel cleaner through it so carbon doesn't choke the intake. Check the dipstick, like it's the most important 2 minutes of your week. Do that, and you're not the next Tom. Skip it, and the truck sitting in my lot next month might have your name on the work order. Could be next week, could be next month. You don't get to pick when. Tom didn't get to pick when either. One Tuesday morning, that's just the day it happened to be his turn. If this kept you off that list, subscribe. Because there's a whole lot more nobody tells truck owners, until it's already too late to matter. The kind of dead where the only answer is a new engine and a bill that makes grown men go quiet. Garage kept, hand washed, synthetic oil, dealership service every single time the sticker said to. $9,000 installed. Sometimes the manual is part of the problem. But first, something that's going to feel like a betrayal, because it goes against what's printed in your glove box right now. It's just not built for this engine specifically. 2 turbos, working overtime. A landscaper I know hauled a trailer almost every day. Mulch, mowers, sometimes a skid steer on a flatbed. Why wouldn't he trust it? It's literally built into the truck. A couple $100. So here's what you actually do. If you tow, haul, run short trips, or live somewhere brutal, And that alone isn't close to enough. There's a second danger hiding in something that feels completely harmless. Short trips never get hot enough to do that, so the fuel just sits there, thinning everything out. Smelled like gas station fumes, not like used motor oil at all. Fix costs you nothing but 20 minutes. Once a week, get that truck up to highway speed and hold it there. Nothing ever touches those valves again. So oil vapor just bakes onto them, layer after layer, completely invisible. That was his exact word, tired. And stress bleeding into everything downstream. Your turbos, your fuel system, all of it working harder. These engines burned oil internally between changes. Ford even admits some of that is normal. Mid-trip, camper hitched, doing 70 on the interstate. The low oil light came on. By the next gas station, he was almost 2 quarts low. 2, not a quarter quart, 2 full quarts. Days later, a faint rhythmic knock. Bearing wear, already starting. That's what makes this one so cruel. Doing the big thing right doesn't save you from missing the small thing. Check your dipstick every couple weeks. 2 minutes in your driveway. This little part manages pressure inside your engine. When it fails, that pressure has to go somewhere, and it gives you almost no warning before it does. I want you to actually let that number sit with you for a second. All 4 of those stacked together, and this one part still wins. Reason 3 gives you a tired-feeling engine. Reason 4 gives you a low oil light. Sometimes it pulls oil straight into the intake, and the engine starts burning it as fuel. Smoke pouring out from under the hood, thick and white, climbing up past the windshield. He climbed in, stomped the brake with everything he had, and forced it into gear just to kill it. His wife was standing on the porch, just watching, frozen, not knowing what was happening to their truck right in front of them. He told me after, voice still a little unsteady, "If I had known this part even existed, have your PCV system physically inspected at 50,000 miles and every major service after, because it's not on their standard checklist. And if you ever notice a rough idle out of nowhere or a faint smell of burning oil, every time I walk past it, I think about that folder of receipts on the passenger seat." And it still wasn't enough. Watching him replay every oil change in his head, looking for the mistake he made. Good owners lose these engines every single year, not because they don't care, and get that PCV valve looked at before it ever gets the chance to fail on you with zero warning. At 64,000 miles, we had his truck up for something else, and I asked to pull the valve covers.